everyone. Welcome to the latest edition of LandOpt's FieldCast. That's what we call our podcast. I'm Brad Ritter, LandOpt's comms coach, and we're very fortunate to have today LandOpt's president, Jim Westover, as our guest. Now, Jim, you run the company, but you also take the lead on financial planning for your members, which exceptionally important at this time of the year. You know, we've worked together a long time, and I've always been intrigued how you love numbers. Tell us a little bit about your fascination with numbers and, how they really affect, contractors.
Yeah, I mean, for me, with numbers, really started out my career as a staff accountant at Brewster's Real Ice Cream. And what I got from there was, I was able to dig in and really learn about the intricacies of the business and how it's impacted by, different economic impacts. So, that kind of translated into me going into the field operationally. And then it was like, okay, well, you have the numbers and you have the knowledge. Now let's take that information. Let's see if we can actually make operational change and make an impact on the business. So I would then go take that information. I'd go out there, whether it was a operational procedure, pricing, you name it, staffing, labor, and we would put those things into place. And the good news was, I could come back and look at the numbers again and measure the change and see if we had a big impact or if we didn't move the needle or we needed to make adjustments. And that really helped me in my career tremendously, transition into, a VP of operations later on. And then, moving on to kind of a sales and operational role later, because those numbers still stay true. Everybody's looking to try to make adjustments to their business models, and they're trying to make sure they're getting the right margins in place, and especially if they have exit strategies down the road, you really want to make sure you have the margins properly to do those things. And by having that type of background, I think it's really benefited me and has really gone a long way into helping me transition.
Now, you've been working in the landscape contracting industry for about a year now. I know you've been out talking to a lot of contractors, been out at a whole lot of industry shows. Do you think most contractors really devote the time and have an understanding of how important financial planning is, or do they tend to be more kind of operationally focused?
I think a lot of folks tend to be operationally focused. And, it's more or less, where LandOpt does come in. We really push and we bring them to and hold them accountable for financial planning. So our members are acutely aware of it. Non-traditional members, I would say they operate more or less, how's my bank account and my cash flowing? And really with us, we want to dig deeper than that. It's like, okay, what should you be making? And that's what we want to really help them plan to do and achieve their goals down the road. Like I said, there's life goals here. There's whether they want the business to transition to somebody in their family, or if they're looking to sell down the road. These are all things that come into play. And I don't think everybody has that in mind when they first get into the business, but we certainly help guide them.
Now, we're into the latter part of 2022. It's been a difficult year for contractors, a good year, I'm hearing from LandOpt members, but still a very challenging one. Probably a lot of people say, okay, I'm done unless they're in a year-round market. I'm done for the winter. I need a vacation. And everybody's entitled to a vacation. But I think you're saying, no, this is not the time to take your eye off the ball. In fact, you really need to be doubling down on your financial planning for next year. Why is that?
Well, right now, I mean, there's a lot of economic factors that are coming into play. And, I like to tell our members that inflation's out there. It's like a thief at night that's just taken from you. And, you get to the end of the year, you had a lot of sales, the sales are still there, but what we're finding is there's a little bit of erosion out there with, all the rising costs with raw materials, fuel, rising interest rates. So you have all these things that come into play. And, you really got to be mindful of those things when you're planning. And right now is really where you got to hone in and do that, because your contracts are going to be set for next year. And, if your pricing's wrong to start the year, it's really hard to go back out and ask for some more. So we want to make sure we have the proper pricing and have the proper procedures in place to service these contracts and make sure, we're still providing a premium quality service, which, LandOpt members are known for.
Now, you've just completed your financial planning process where your members all came together for several days of meetings, recapping this year, looking ahead to next. In general, what outlook did you provide to them? When you look at economic factors, what inputs did you give them to help them with their planning?
Well, I gave it to them straight up. That's what they have us for. That's what we're there to do. And really, I had to be honest with them. Hey, inflation's at 8.1%. Your raw materials are up 10%. The labor market, the Social Security raises was 8.7%. So you have to factor in all these things and take a look at where you're going. And so the economic outlook wasn't very pretty, but I think what it becomes is an opportunity for the strong entities to really thrive if they put together the proper plan. And I think that's really what we help them do. And like I said, even though the picture's not always pretty going forward because the inflation's still there and they're still making the adjustments with the federal rate, these things do become opportunities for us to help work with our margins and work with our consumers.
So take us a little bit at the process that you used with your members as they're planning for 2023. What do they leave those meetings with?
Well, they should be leaving with a plan that they are confident and they can execute. I mean, we really want them to be honest with themselves, what they're going to do. We got to factor in labor, you got to factor in the materials, and of course, the fuel costs. Those are kind of, I'll say, variable costs for us. They start out with a basic plan where they work with, okay, how many projects are we going to have next year? And then it's taking a look at their maintenance work, what's long term, what's short term reoccurring, what contracts are expiring that we can adjust and you either look at the scope of the work or look at the pricing for it. And we start with the ground floor and we go from there. We actually put a sales plan in place for each one of their sales reps to kind of complete. And, that kind of goes from there where we work with them on the labor and the labor percentages and what's going to be required to complete that work. And we dive all the way, like I said, into the raw materials and we take it from there. So it's a full 3-day process. We literally have them put it up on the board in front of all of our 20 members. They'll walk through it line by line. We have great coaches that can do that and really give them an outlook. We question, is this realistic for you to do? If you're saying you're going to do 15% gross profit, is that something obtainable for you? And we take a look at it line by line, and there's some realism and truth. The smartest person in the room is the room, right? So they all get a look at it, and you get a lot of feedback, and you can't get that in a lot of places. I mean, where else can you get 20 industry knowledgeable folks to take a look at your P&L and your plan for next year and say, hey, that's a really good plan that you can execute, or have you thought about it this way? And here's some ideas or some tips. So we even go right around with pricing and say, hey, what are you thinking about pricing wise, right? Because that is always a concern. Where's the consumer's breaking point as we look at kind of a price elasticity curve, if you will, and how's that affect me? And sometimes I remind our guys on pricing, you can work less and make more. It's not all about sales volume. It's about the right marginal volume.
One of the things I've learned about LandOpt is that there's a tremendous amount of camaraderie and networking involved. It's a little surprising, though, that you get people together in the room and they share intimate financial details of their businesses. Now, granted, they're in different markets. They're not necessarily competitors, but a lot of small business owners, big business owners don't like to share their finances, but yet LandOpt members seem to be willing to do that with each other. Why do you think that is?
I think they just value what feedback they can get by being open and honest. And with us, with LandOpt, we function very much like a license model where you have a protected territory and nobody else is in that territory. So you don't have to worry about the business that you're talking about, the scope of work you're doing, or the strategies you're putting out there. It's more or less how can these guys help me improve my model? And you got 20, 25-year veterans in our system, and they're able to give them some really critical feedback that helps them. And that helps cultivate their growth, and they go and pass that along to the next next licensee that come in and join. They're just very open, and it's very much like a 20 group or some other other industries that they have, and it's our licensees. They're protected. It's a safe space, so to speak, and they can really take a lot of learnings with the feedback on new tools that are out there. Whether it's battery powered equipment, you have people that have used it, whether it's snow removal, they discuss all of those things. And you get all of that in multiple times a year, and it really helps them improve themselves operationally.
Now, you mentioned pricing. Were there any ranges that you recommended for next year that, okay, guys and gals, in general, you need to be looking at increasing your pricing and your margins by X to Y%, or is it much more a local kind of decision?
I mean, ultimately, it's still up to the licensee, but we did come in with very, very strong recommendations. We recommend at least a 4.4% price increase to kind of offset. I'll say there's about a 2.5% margin erosion from fuel, labor, and materials that are all inflating. That's out of their control. So we at least recommended the 4.4%. And to get back to, let's say, the marginal levels that they've had in the past, we recommended an 8.8% price increase. Most of them, if they can go 10+%, that's fine. That's great. It's really up to you where your comfort level is. But my job was to just kind of tell you, hey, these three economic factors, and really fourth, if you count interest rates, because interest rates are going to be on the rise, which is going to affect any of your adjustable rate loans, mortgages, credit cards, you name it. These are also going to be things that are going to erode your bottom line. Are you thinking of these things, and are you adjusting for them? So my goal is just trying to give them as much information as I can to make an informed decision. And like I said, our recommendation was at least 8.8 plus. And just brace yourself. I think you need to give yourself credit for the quality work you do. And sometimes if you don't get that job, it may be a blessing in disguise because it's not as profitable, and/or maybe it's just a cash neutral thing. So we're not nonprofit organizations. We expect to be making profits, and profit's not a dirty word, as we used to say.
Are there other steps that you recommended they take for next year, or things that the contractors shared with each other that they're doing in terms of managing their costs? Can they alter, their purchasing, their buying, leasing of equipment, their staffing levels?
Yeah, I think one of the big benefits from LandOpt is that we have channel partners that offer preferred pricing. So you get full economies of scale. So that's one thing, is us going back and negotiating and looking at our vendors and seeing what kind of offerings they have, as well as them offering recommendations based off the pricing that they're going to see. But also, we really want to take a look at the contracts themselves. Like I keep emphasizing, is the contracts that are expiring, you really need to take a look at how you're going to do that going forward, whether you're going to adjust the scope of work, whether you're going to adjust the pricing for it, or whether you're going to put a fuel surcharge on it. Fuel's not going to go, their prediction is it won't go below $3.57. That's kind of the projection from the energy information that's out there. And, we're coaching to that right now. So those are some big factors. And, we're also starting to see the improvement with battery powered equipment. So those are some other things that can offset some of these items in the future. So they are taking a look at the whole business itself, and seeing these adjustments that can help get those extra, I'll say, percentage points to get to the bottom line.
How would you gauge their mood in general, their outlook for next year?
I think they're excited for opportunities out there, but they understand that they have to stay on top of these things. The pricing, and when you're offering pricing out there, you want to offer it short term, because that subjects you to less economic factors out there. So they kind of understand that. I think there'll be a shift to, from project work to more maintenance, whether it's long term or short term, just for the fact of, one, the safety net of it, and two, the project work won't be, I don't think, as much, just because of money getting more expensive. So we are putting all that information out there for them to kind of digest. There is still a lot of sales out there, and it's, like I said, it's more or less, how do you do the sales properly with the right margin in place to make sure that your business is going to be successful long term.
Is there much concern about the impacts of a recession, should there be one?
Absolutely. There's always a concern there. With the last recession, I'll say there became opportunity when you came out of it. So if you were adjusting your levels properly, adjusting your pricing properly, that the project work, once our clientele feels safe, they will go back to purchasing at the levels that they did before. So there may be, a softer project work, but I think that leaves the opportunity when we come back out of it, and that also allows you to price it better in the future as well too. So I think there's a lot of folks that their pipeline loaded. Some of our guys are actually booked a year in advance, so they're already set for 2023. It's more or less what's 2024 look like. So there's going to be some opportunities there, and we're going to help guide them through. We're going to do our quarterly updates on where the economy is, and what to do in pricing wise with inflation, and make sure that we're on top of those things for them.
Well, I think you bring up an important point, staying on top of things. LandOpt works with its members on an ongoing basis on financial planning. It isn't just a one and done, and well, thanks guys, we'll see you next year and let us know how you did. Talk a little bit about just the whole tracking and monitoring process from a financial perspective.
Sure, we have a financial tool that is unique to us. That, like I said, it goes all the way down from what your salesperson's personal plan to what your job costing is, to what your average worker wages, and it really tracks everything. As long as you're getting the information in there each month, it allows us to take a snapshot, benchmark you versus our system. Because we're in for it for the long term. I mean, we're there, multiple years. Most of our members have been in the system 6+ years, so we are working side by side with them to continue to make sure they're staying on top and making the proper adjustments. Because there is so many things out there right now. Currently, there's so many pitfalls, but they can be avoided, and you can be very successful doing so. But you're going to have to make sure you're stopping and measuring and doing things more than you were probably doing in the past. When you take your eye off the ball, that's when things happen, and margins erode, and you get your business out of whack. And we're making sure that you're staying on top of it. And that's why we get together as multiple times a year. That's we get together 3-4 times a year, and that's why we continue to do these quarterly updates as well.
What else would you like a prospective member to know about the LandOpt financial planning processes? That's really kind of where contractors should be in their business at this time of the year.
Yeah, I mean, when first off, when you start with us, we're going to take a look at your individual P&L. We're going to benchmark it versus our system. We're more than likely going to find 2.5-3% of opportunity out there for you. Our cost is less than 1% of your sales annually, and we will really help you take a look at how you can improve it going forward. And then I think the most important part is, where do you want to go, and what is your goal? And I think that's really where we come into play. Is we're going to help you scale your business. We have an HR specialist who can help source the right people to get you growing. And if your end goal is to take your company that's 5 million to 10 or 15 million, we've already done it. We've had people that have done it multiple times, and it's one of those things where the scaling and keeping the margins in place and the continuing education that we do helps do that. We don't just call in once a month. We have education every Thursday for somebody in your staff, via webinar. We have our PAR calls. They can be every week or every other week, depending on your schedule. So that PAR is peer and review. We're just keeping you on task, and it really helps cultivate your company and really get you into a space and making sure you're operating. And like I said, you have your peers as well there that can really help guide you as well too. So if you're off on something and you want to know something, you can pick up and you can call. You can call Dan Eichenlaub, or you can call some of our other licensees, like Will Greathouse, and just really pick their brain and see see how their performance is, and seeing what adjustments they're doing as well.
You mentioned your costs. Obviously, contractors aren't not-for-profit organizations, neither is LandOpt. So there's, of course, a cost to being a member. how quickly do people typically see a return on that investment in their membership?
Yeah, I mean, they're really going to see it in the first year. Like I said, we normally find 2.5 to 3 percentage points alone, just of opportunity costs within the business. But what we also do a really great job of is coaching your sales team, and it's from two factors: from the pricing, and then as well as searching for new business. So, most of the time they're gonna get a boost in sales, 25, 30% increase. And then, we've outperformed, historically, by 28% on margins versus, the rest of, I'll say, the systems out there. So, we really thrive in finding those extra, I'll say, granular details, and make sure you're setting poor contracts and make sure you're pricing properly. And then we're coaching, we're teaching you to go hunt, right? We're telling you how to get sales, and we're looking at all your different sales avenues and making sure your product mix is right. Whether it's reoccurring, whether it's maintenance, project work, whatever the need may be, we take a look at it all together.
And ultimately too, it's about better financial performance, but isn't it also about helping the contractor simply enjoy their business and kind of just remove some of those burdens that drive every small business owner crazy? They ask, it's like, at the end of the day, why am I still doing this?
Yeah, no, I mean, our goal is to remove the stress part. If you can't figure out something, you pick up the phone, you call our guys, and they're out there in the field, and we have our companies as well, and we understand what you're going through. So we really have those opportunities to bring some of those best practices to you, and we can tell you, hey, this is what we're looking at adjusting and doing, and this is why we're doing it. And our goal is to have you spending less time with your business and making more money. And so, we essentially stress down, profits up for us, really is what we focus on.
Jim, anything else that you would like a prospective member to know as we, wrap up 2022, look at 2023?
I would say just right now, this is a great time to join. You're still going through your planning process. We have the ability to help you have a big impact on your bottom line for next year. We will be having a session in Phoenix, Arizona this year as well at our principals meetings for prospective of licensees as well. So if you're curious and you want to take a look at us and say, hey, what's he talking about with this network and seeing how great these guys are, you have that ability and that opportunity. And we can get going right away on taking a look at your P&L and getting you onboarded, and getting you going in the right direction with your sales and profitability, and making sure we're staying focused on those margins. And like I said, really just preparing you for this inflation or even possible recession, making sure we're getting the proper sales and getting the proper contracts for you.
And if a prospective member who's watching this wants to know, who do I reach out to at LandOpt? Of course, there's information about how the company works on LandOpt.com, but what else should they do?
They can pick up a phone and call me direct. I can be reached on my cell, which is 412-418-7297. I'm sure we'll have the information below afterwards, but you can do that, or if you're more comfortable texting or email. I'm here to help you. We're invested in this industry. We've been in this industry over 20 years now, and we really have a kind of a handle on what is going on out there, and how we can help you handle it. So don't be afraid to call and ask questions. Even if it's not a chance for a prospective licensee, but maybe just have questions in general. More than happy to answer them.
Great. All right. Well, Jim, thank you so much. This time of the year, there's a lot going on. You've got a lot of financial plans to work up, get finished for your members. So thanks for taking time. And just tell people don't call you on a Steelers Sunday.
Yep, absolutely. Go Steelers. And if you have any questions, we'll help you find the green.
All right, Jim, thanks so much. Right,